excited to be back on the team, and I'm very excited to see all of you guys at the games. I'm looking forward to giving 110%. Thank you for having me back here in LA. I know sometimes people don't get second chances, but when you do get a second chance, you kind of make sure you do the best you can do. So it wipes away everything that happened the first time. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have an unbelievable season. And I can't wait to put on the purple and gold and tear down some rims, block some shots, and hug some fans. I'll see you at Staples.
Dwight Howard, obviously hoping for a fresh start there, said Wednesday during a conference call with reporters that his life away from the court hit rock bottom this past summer. He said, quote, "It didn't have anything to do with basketball. It was just stuff going on in my personal life, mentally, physically, spiritually. It was personal things that I had to deal with, which made me stronger." So, Nick, Dwight personally is obviously putting a lot, is riding for him on this. But what are your expectations for the Lakers with him this season? Do you think that he'll be able to deliver for them?
No, I don't have much of an expectation for Dwight at all. We know what he's given the last couple seasons. I'm happy for him. He seems to be in a better mental and physical place in the moment. But, Rach, when you look at where Dwight is at this point in his career, I'm surprised so much is being made out of it, just because when you've watched him the last couple seasons when he's been on the floor, you're kind of like, eh? Like, that's it? So I'm not expecting Dwight to do much at all, and I'm still a little surprised that the Lakers went with Dwight instead of a guy like Joakim Noah, who would know his role on that team. Dwight's never been asked to be a backup center playing 10, 15 minutes a game. Noah knows that he's at the last stage potentially. I thought that would have been a better fit for where the Lakers are at now.
You got 48 minutes to split up, right? And you have JaVale McGee, who has shown that he's best and most effective when he plays 20 to 25 minutes because of his asthma issues. So really the baseline for Dwight is come in, play 25 minutes a game, not cause problems, and stay healthy. I think those are achievable goals here. And if he is really going to take what he's saying to heart, he can really be a nice piece, because it's a veteran minimum contract. We're still thinking of him as Dwight Howard. Oh my gosh, he's not Dwight Howard. Okay, fine.
But what is he now?
But he's a veteran minimum contract who can give you 12 and 12.
Why do you think they did choose him over Joe Noah?
I think because he provides at his best, the physicality and the rim protection and the defensive presence they'd like to have alongside Anthony Davis, more so than Joakim Noah would.
The problem there, though, is Noah is one of those guys in a locker room who makes everybody around him better in almost all cases, save for Jimmy Butler at the end of the year, right, in Chicago. But with Joakim, he knows what he would go into with LeBron, a guy he's gone against for a long, long time. Those two have had plenty of verbal battles. He knows that leadership presence he can give. Dwight, historically, has always been a guy who has rocked the boat over and over, and now he knows he's got his last chance. But I don't see how anybody could come into this feeling like Dwight is really, really ready to contribute in a major way. When we've seen Dwight on the floor the last couple seasons, what has he done?
Did Dwight Howard ever get a standoff with his coach and get exiled from his team like Joakim Noah did in New York?
Dwight demolished a couple locker rooms because he didn't fit in with everybody else.
How much are chemistry concerns a thing for this Lakers team? I think that you have such a different locker room from last year.
Yeah.
So what do you think the chemistry issues are going to be there? Do you think that Dwight Howard fits in? Do you think he doesn't fit in?
That's going to be the question. Who is going to gravitate in that locker room? Now, he name-checked Rajon Rondo and JaVale McGee, I believe, yesterday as the guys that he spoke, and Anthony Davis, as the guys he spoke to about coming in to play for this team. If one of them are going to have his back, I think that puts him in a good position because he's going to need allies in that locker room. And that's going to be whether he fills a minimum requirement, just being a guy who puts up stats, or if he's a guy who actually brings something to the culture here and can fulfill this kind of manifest destiny he's kind of saying, where he's saying, you know, I'm a big believer in numbers and new beginnings, and it's been 7 years since I was first acquired by the Lakers, and, you know, he believes it at least enough to put it out there in the universe. If he can back it up through his actions, then he has a chance of being really a plus addition really taken off the scrap heap at the last second because of DeMarcus Cousins.
I mean, it's all a gamble, right? I mean, DeMarcus Cousins was a little bit of a gamble for them just because of health concerns, right? And those health concerns proved to be true to a degree because he got injured again before he even got started with the Lakers. Dwight Howard is a gamble. Joakim Noah would have been a gamble, too, for all kinds of reasons.
No
Health
question.
reasons, chemistry reasons. It's all the same thing.
But I'd add this about Joakim. He was beloved in Memphis. He was beloved for the majority of his time in Chicago. The New York stuff was a blip because he was so miserable, and they were so miserable
in his hometown.
With the contract.
Do you think the Hollywood is hell came back at him and LeBron wasn't so sure about having him on the team? I don't know.
I always remember this, and this goes back now almost a decade, but I asked Joakim in the summer of 2010, and they had some big battles already with the Cavs and LeBron. I said, did you talk to LeBron during the free agency process, trying to recruit him to Chicago? Because there were a lot of people in Chicago that thought Bosh was coming, Wade was coming, and LeBron was that last piece. And I still remember he looked at me and he goes, I called LeBron. LeBron did not call me back. So who knows how long of a grudge that may or may not be. And to Dave's point, maybe they just thought Dwight would be better in the moment. My point is this. Noah knows his role at this stage in his career. He knows what he's able to provide. Historically, he's a great locker room guy. In the last couple seasons, what have we seen from Dwight Howard that would lead you to believe that he's going to come in and make any difference at all?
But if Joakim Noah was so great in Memphis, why isn't he just going back to Memphis?
Because Memphis is in a total
But if he was a great locker room guy.
He was beloved in Memphis, but he's not going to provide that much.
Beloved, I think he'd probably
That's the whole difference, though. He's not going to provide much at all. And what you're saying is Dwight has a chance to give them something. I don't see it, though.
Well, it'll be interesting. I don't think anything will wipe away what happened here with Kobe and all of the history with that Lakers team and just how spectacularly that all blew up. That being said, if he is able to have, as you point out, just a serviceable season, doesn't cause problems, it will be an interesting rewriting of someone's NBA story in a way that we haven't quite seen before. So I'm curious to see how all of that pans out. Coming up, how worried should the Celtics brass be about Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum? They're both nursing injuries for Team USA. We will discuss after the break. Here on The Jump, Kevin Durant giving us an update on his rehab on his Instagram account. KD standing on one leg. Noted he is 12 weeks into the healing process. A little video was there too. Is this a good sign, Nick?
It's a great sign. It's the next step in the process, Rach, but Kevin looks like a guy who suffered an Achilles injury. When you take all that off, you start the rehab. That is a skinny-looking leg, so he's got a long way to go, clearly.
I mean, skinny before.
Exactly.
Get well soon, but don't rush.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And it is scary after we saw with his former teammate, DeMarcus Cousins, rehab from the Achilles, thought he was fine, and then just has these successive other related injuries. Let's talk a little bit about Lisa Leslie, Big 3 championship coach, and she could be getting a statue at Staples Center soon. Shout out, by the way, to LA Times columnist Arash Markazi, who spearheaded this, tweeting that both the Sparks and the president of Staples Center plan to discuss the details soon. Is it about time, Dave, that Lisa gets her own statue in Star Plaza?
Yeah, I'd love it. And also, you just saw the clip right there. She was the first WNBA player in league history to throw a dunk. There's already a statue hanging outside Staples Center of Shaq throwing out a dunk. We could have Shaq dunking and Lisa dunking outside Staples Center.
I love it. I love that she's still winning, too, right? Winning. Shout out to her. Shout out, by the way, to our man Steven Jackson, who played against her team in the Big 3 championship. Everyone in that game was showing out. Getting back to, I think we've got some different video here from what I was expecting. There's Buddy Hield, though. He's talking about the damage done to his native Bahamas in the after the Hurricane Dorian, and he donated $100,000, guys, to hurricane relief. He's going to be on Scott Van Pelt's show tonight. He's actually opened up a fundraising campaign for relief, and I would definitely urge everyone, if you have not gone to look at the photos, the Washington Post had a photo series about the damage done in the Bahamas, just decimated, and anything we can do to help people there who have obviously lost so much. Really shout out to Buddy for spearheading this, and shows all the ways that NBA players care about their communities. You know, we sort of say to NBA players sometimes, oh, what are you doing getting involved in this opinion or that opinion about your community? Well, it's the same thing when they do this kind of thing. So it's that they care about the people around them.
And you take it for granted, especially because, guys, they switch cities, right? But I know all the work that Kevin Durant did in Oklahoma City before he went to the Warriors. And those people will always remember him as a man, as a humanitarian, not just as a guy who slipped on the number 35 uniform.
These guys all appreciate and have so much pride in where they come from, and they should. And this is another example that every time you talk to Buddy Hield about the Bahamas, he takes so much joy in what he has done and where he did it from. So for him to go back and do this now, I think is just an awesome gesture.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get back to the FIBA World Cup because Team USA beat Japan by, say it again, 53 points today. But Marcus Smart did not get in on any of the fun. He sat out the game with a quad strain. He's listed as day-to-day. Brian Windhorst noting this was the same leg that Smart missed time with last month due to a calf strain. Jason Tatum also missing the game with an ankle injury. He's expected to be out at least one more game, Nick, and they might hold him out for longer. If you were Danny Ainge, if you were Brad Stevens, how worried would you be about these injuries your guys are piling up?
You're always worried about your guys, especially when you're this far away playing on this kind of stage. But Rach, this is part of basketball. Guys are playing everywhere. Guys are turning their ankles in games that we don't even know about. Guys are going through the progression of trying to get ready for the season. If they're ready to play and they're healthy to play and cleared, they should play. If they aren't, sit them down and don't worry about it.
I mean, on these two injuries specifically, the calf we know to be way more tricky. We saw with Kevin Durant in the playoffs, and so I would be way cautious when it comes to Marcus Smart. As far as an ankle goes, of course, you could always have ligament or tendon damage, but usually an ankle is like pretty cut and dry.
Right.
You miss a week or so and you get back out there.
Yep.
And, Nick, you mentioned it. Anytime you play basketball, there's some degree of risk. I do believe that the rewards for this group will outweigh those risks. The fact that those four players on the Celtics all getting a chance to play together. Jaylen Brown had a breakout game. Obviously, Kemba Walker is the star of this team. I think it's going to be a great experience for the Celtics getting a step forward, even with the knick-knack injuries they're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right, is don't push it. So neither of these are serious injuries. As long as they don't turn into serious injuries, there's not that much for Boston to worry about. And Brad Stevens was in front of reporters just a day or two ago talking about that he expects this to help chemistry, right? You've got four guys, especially with Kemba, who they didn't play together last year. They're getting to know each other. They're going to Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr finishing school, which is always lovely for an NBA player. And also Brad was pointing out that he said that it's always a little bit of a shell shock when guys play the first road game of the season. There's just been a few months since they've had people yelling at them so much, and that this is obviously in a hostile environment, and they've got a lot of people it's the kind of thing, it's very physical what these games have been, right? And it's just going to get these guys ready for the season quicker. So I think that I think that they're generally happy with what's going on, as long as Team USA doesn't push it. Oh, I'm so glad we brought this back. This is just in at the buzzer. Come on, bring it up here. We discussed the ESPN body issue on yesterday's show. We had Chris Paul, Liz Cambage, Nancy Lieberman all in it. Shout out Nancy Lieberman, 61 years old, showing out. You can now add one more to the list. Oh, yes. Clutch the Bear going nude for the body issue. Just a little bit of strategic smoke there.
I was going to say that ball should be
showing a little bottom
somewhere.
Right? I mean, look, we don't normally see mascots outside of their little mascot unis. How do you feel about this?
No, Clutch. Did
you know that he had a heart on his?
Clutch is a little bit of a wild man. I mean, we already know he's got a wild side. We see him in the commercials. So that doesn't surprise me. But I don't need to see any more of Clutch than I see at a game.
The amazing thing is somewhere out there we have a viewer who finds that attractive. They're like, I'm into that.
Dave, this show just took a turn it did not need to take. I would like to tell all the other NBA mascots we're good, especially the humans that are just in like the mascot. You know how there's some mascot, right? Isn't Lucky from just in like a hat and a vest or something? Yeah. I
saw an Entourage episode.
So we're good. That's it for today. It's probably a good thing. We'll see you tomorrow.